We have washing machines and dishwashers and food delivered to the door and phones that remember everything for us. So why can I still end an ordinary day feeling like I've run out of time? I don't think convenience is the problem, but I have started wondering whether every bit of time we save is simply being filled with something else. I don't think this is because anything particularly difficult has happened during the day. Sometimes the day's been quite quiet. I've done the things that needed doing, nothing's gone badly wrong, and yet I still have this feeling that I've somehow been busy all day without ever quite achieving anything. And I've been wondering whether that convenience has actually given us more time, or whether it's just made us expect more from the time we already have. I want to say from the beginning that I am not making an argument against modern appliances or technology. I am very grateful for my washing machine and especially the dishwasher. And I am really grateful that I can do a food shop without spending an entire afternoon in a supermarket or trawling through individual shops on the high street. I'm definitely not interested in pretending that life was somehow easier when everything had to be done by hand. That isn't really the point. What interests me is what happens after something becomes easier. Because quite often the time we save doesn't seem to become rest. It just seems to get filled with something else. If a job takes half as long, then perhaps there's time to do another job. If we can organise something more quickly, then perhaps we can fit another commitment into the week. If our phones can remember everything for us, then perhaps we can take on even more things without having to think about whether we actually have the capacity for them. The difficulty is that this can happen so gradually that we barely even notice it. We don't wake up one morning and decide that our lives should become more demanding. It just happens through a series of very reasonable decisions. Just one more thing fitted into the day, or one more standard we quietly adopt. One more task that feels like it should be manageable because technically we have the tools to make it easier. I think the modern home has always carried a promise of freedom. The idea is that if we can reduce the physical work, we'll have more space for things that matter. More time with family and more time to pursue interests. More time for rest, or perhaps a little more time to simply sit in a room without feeling that we should be doing something else. And that sounds lovely. It is probably one of the reasons we welcome convenience in the first place. But I'm not sure that we've really learnt how to receive that freedom. We seem much better at using saved time than enjoying it. If the kitchen is easier to clean, then it can feel as though it should always be clean. If food is easier to buy, then it feels as though there is no excuse for being unprepared. If communication is instant, then it can feel strange not to respond immediately. And if our homes are full of things that help us manage life, then it becomes very easy to believe that we should be managing life perfectly. The convenience is real, but so is the expectation that comes with it. I've noticed that the things which save time can sometimes create a new version of the task as well. The dishwasher doesn't just mean that you no longer have to wash everything by hand. It can also mean that the kitchen should be reset every evening. Online shopping doesn't just mean you can avoid a trip to the shops. It also means that you should always have exactly what you need in the house at all times. And if we don't achieve those, we can feel like we failed. And I think this is where the feeling of being behind can become so confusing. Most of us have more resources than ever, so it can seem as though we have less reason to struggle. There's an appliance, or the app, or the delivery service. There's the information and the reminder on the phone. So if I'm still tired and still disorganised, or still leaving things until the last minute, it feels as though the problem must be me. I must not be using the tools properly. I must not have planned well enough. I must not have been disciplined enough, or I must have wasted the time that was given back to me. And that's not really the fairest way to look at things. Especially if you're someone with struggles with issues like executive dysfunction. Just maybe the fact that something is easier does not mean that we're supposed to do more of it. And perhaps having a more convenient life does not mean that we're meant to become endlessly available for more work. There's also a lot of work in a home that convenience doesn't really remove. There's the mental labour of noticing what needs doing, remembering what's been forgotten and thinking about what might become a problem later, and then trying to keep everything moving without having to constantly think about the fact that you are keeping everything moving. And that kind of work is really difficult to measure because nothing dramatic happens when you do it. There's no obvious finished product. You just prevent a few things from becoming more difficult than they needed to be. And because it's invisible, it can be very easy to underestimate how much energy it takes. You can have a day where you haven't done anything that looks impressive or like you've done anything at all. But you've spent the entire day keeping track of things, and you've made decisions, adjusted plans, and remembered details, and just tried to stay on top of everything. And this doesn't just apply to work within the home. I can do a day's work editing, planning, or spend time studying for uni, and get to the end of the day and feel exactly the same way. It's strange how often when the evening comes, I still look around and think, what have I actually done today? And I think that's one of the reasons that modern life can feel so tiring. We are not only doing the work, but we are constantly managing our relationship with the work. So I wanted to try something quite small. I wasn't trying to remove convenience from our lives, and I wasn't trying to prove that doing everything the difficult way is somehow more meaningful. I just wanted to pay attention to what happened to the time when something was made easier. Usually, if I finish something more quickly than expected, I immediately look for another thing to do. If I have a free half an hour, I will often fill it before I've even had the chance to notice that it was free. I might tidy something, or check my phone, or answer a message, or start thinking about what needs doing next. And there's always a reason for it. It never feels unreasonable. But I wanted to see what would happen if I didn't automatically turn that time into another task. That meant allowing things to remain unfinished, and it meant not treating every quiet moment as an opportunity to catch up. And it meant trying to let convenience do what it was supposedly designed to do, give me a little bit more space. Not just more time to be productive, but more space. And what was surprising is that I found this quite uncomfortable. I'm very used to thinking about times in terms of what it has produced. If I've cleaned something, or answered something, or organised something, or made progress, then that time feels justified. But if I spend an hour sitting down, it is far too easy to wonder whether I should have used that time better. And that's such a strange thing to feel about rest, to have a quiet moment and immediately start looking for the evidence that you deserve it. And I don't think this is an entirely personal problem. We live in a culture that is very good at turning everything into something that can be improved. Our homes can't always be improved, or our routines can be better. Our mornings can be more productive. And then even our rest can become something we're supposed to do correctly. Hobbies become side hustles. Or reading can become a race to see how many books you can read that year. And when you're surrounded by that message for long enough, an empty space in the day can feel like a mistake. And I think that's what I noticed most. Having more time did not automatically make me feel calm. I also had to get used to the idea that the time did not need to immediately be claimed by something else. Maybe this is why slow living can be quite difficult to define. It isn't necessarily about having fewer appliances, or living in the countryside, or creating a home that looks peaceful in a photograph. Those things can be lovely, but they don't automatically change how you experience time. A slower home might simply be one where convenience is allowed to create rest. It's where the dishwasher saves you time from standing at the sink, without creating a new expectation that the kitchen must always look perfect. Dinner might be simple without feeling like you failed to plan properly. Or an unfinished room is just an unfinished room. It's not evidence that you're not coping. And perhaps, most importantly, a slower home is one where you are not constantly being asked to improve your life. Because there's a difference between making life easier and expecting yourself to do more with the space that you just created. If every saved minute becomes another responsibility, then we're not really gaining any freedom. We're just becoming more efficient at filling our lives with work. I don't think convenience has failed us. I just think we might have misunderstood what it was supposed to give us. We've saved time, but we've often treated that time as available for more work, or more commitments and more improvement, and for more proof that we're managing everything well. And then on top of that, we live in a society where I know for so many people that's not even a choice. Us having more time has given employers the opportunity to demand more, and I don't really have a very succinct answer to how to combat any of that. But what I do know from my perspective in my life right now, that the most intentional choice for me is not always finding another way to save time, and that sometimes it's just allowing some of the time that I have saved to remain unclaimed. Just to let myself be quiet, or let the day be ordinary, to let it belong to us without needing to produce anything in return. I still appreciate all of the things in our home that makes life easier, but I'm beginning to think that an easier life does not automatically become a slower life. That part might be something we have to practice. We have to notice the moment when a bit of time comes back to us and resist the urge to immediately give it away. Because sometimes the point of finishing something quickly is not to find another thing to finish. Sometimes it's simply to be finished. And I think this is something I'm still learning. If you're also trying to build a slower life without leaving the modern world behind, you are very welcome to subscribe to the channel and join me for the next video in the journey. I hope you have a lovely day.